You are a champion.
Daddy, it's tomorrow Saturday. It's tomorrow Saturday.
Because she
All
wanted
the
to
time.
spend the day with you,
It's
right?
the only day we saw each other.
I was a stressed out corporate slave. I never saw my family, John. John, it's take it, he said take it, he said take it, he said take it! Hey, it's Sam Crowley back with your Quit My Job video series. You notice anything different? Anything look different? Wow, since the last video, check this out, man. That's what happens when you spend $8 on a haircut. I know, it's way too much money. I hardly ever go that much with a haircut, but I did, and look what happened. Hey, by the way, this, I stepped out since the last video. Have you stepped out? Have you got a little bit outside your comfort zone? What have you done differently since the last Quit My Job video? So, hey, by the way, if you're just plugging into this series, there's an introduction video that you really need to watch that sets the tone, because you might be plugging in saying, wow, there's some silly dude with a crew cut screaming into my camera and my computer, and I don't know what this all about. Let me tell you. My name's Sam Crowley, founder of EverydayIsSaturday.com. You need to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click on the subscribe button, because not only are you going to get this series titled Quit My Job, you're going to get so many hundreds of entrepreneurial videos at absolutely no cost. If you go to samcrowleyshow.com, you can plug into the #1 motivational podcast on the planet. We have over 400,000 subscribers as of right now to the show. People who want to make every day Saturday. So this video series, you need to see the intro. You need to see video #1. And if you happen to watch this one, go back and watch the other two as well, because it's going to start to make sense. It's only for people. It's a very targeted group of individuals who want to leave their job and become an entrepreneur. Now, I'm not saying having a job is a bad thing. If you love it, I always got to put that out there. Most people don't. You know, I haven't met anybody yet on their deathbed that said, I wish I would have spent more time at my job. You know, it's funny. I just left the 6th grade award ceremony where my daughter Madeline received an award, and I'm going to brag about being a dad, because it's a whole reason why I started my movement called Every Day is Saturday, because she used to ask Daddy, is tomorrow Saturday? That was when she was 3 and a half, and I was a corporate slave back in 2005. Now, she's a beautiful 12-year-old girl in the 6th grade. It's the last day of school today, June of 2013, and I went to an award ceremony. She had no idea that I was going to be there, me and her mother. And she was nominated 6 out of 400 students in the school to receive the My Voice, My Choice Award, which goes way beyond grades, even though she's a high honor student, about caring, becoming a great ambassador for the school, exemplifying really all the great traits. And I'm not saying that, you know, my kids, I'm not one of these wacko parents that think, my kid's the greatest. But obviously, it's my girl. It's my girl. She helped launch this business that I have now, Every Day is Saturday. And for her to get an award like that, and me to be able to be there on a day like today, I have no job, I have nothing to worry about, I don't got to ask my boss if I can leave early, I don't got to reschedule meetings, I can just go. I can just go and be there for my daughter. Do you want to do things like that? I mean, at its core, that's essentially why we do what we do. You know, if you have kids, the #1 thing you got to be is a parent, a great parent. You got to leave a legacy, you got to change generations, man. And I'm so grateful right now. This is one of the greatest mornings of my life. And it's just about an award. It's not even the award itself. I'm not a big trophy guy, you know. I don't have any trophies. My Letterman's jacket from high school. It's about what the award symbolizes. A good young girl with great core values, helping other girls and boys, you know, overcome obstacles, be a friend, be there for, you know, just everything you want your kid to be. So anyway, last video we talked about, and I encouraged you to turn over the soil in your relationships. Find some new friends, you know, get away from the coworkers, get away from the negative people. I'm curious though, it's only been a week since I shot the last video. Have you done any of that? Have you been able to do it? Because chances are it's a little bit uncomfortable. Look, I know, man, I could tell you chapter and verse right now. I think back when I first started doing that, like I mentioned on the last video, you're going to get a lot of resistance. You know, and I'm going to teach you how to get through that. But you got to move away. You got to move away from, you know, you got to run away from that and run towards what it is you want to do. What do you think you can do? You think you can run faster backwards or forwards? I think you can run a heck of a lot faster running forward, especially when you know where you're going. Okay? So if you run towards whatever it is you want to do, a new business, a new venture, a new movement, a new cause, whatever it is you want to do, you'll run a heck of a lot faster than running away from the pain you're in. Now, I say get away from the friends, but you can't just run backwards. That's crazy. You got to keep moving forward. You know, you got to move toward it. What I did is I moved towards being a speaker. I knew I wanted to be a speaker. Nobody was telling me that I could ever get paid to speak. But yet somehow it all happened and came together. Why? Because I didn't listen to the negative people that wanted to give me advice. I just kept moving towards something. You know what I did? And here's today's training. Create one thing. Create one thing. What do I mean by that? Well, I created a podcast. It's the SamCrowleyShow.com. SamCrowleyShow.com. I created my first podcast in 2005 in the wintertime. Broke 300 grand in the hole just out of a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And I titled it The Everyday Saturday Show with the founder of the world famous EverydaySaturday.com. Now, a couple things. I didn't own EverydaySaturday.com. I was running towards it. I was going to get it. I didn't know who did own it. Turns out some guy named John Mix in Portland, Oregon owned it. 71-year-old guy, gave it to me because he said, son, I never had the courage to go for that. I owned the domain name, and I was going to put some photos and videos out there about hunting and fishing and golfing and what it's like to make every day Saturday. But I haven't even done that much with it. What you got, you want to keep that promise to your daughter about every day being Saturday? I'm going to turn it over to you, the website. Pretty cool. That was February 2006. But anyway, I started, by the way, that story's on my YouTube channel as well. I gave it a live presentation a few years ago, and that actual story about John Mix is out there. So I created a podcast, but I wanted to create something, anything that had to do with motivating people. Because if I was going to become a speaker, I had to do what? I had to start speaking. I had to do something. I had to create some content, something around the brand. So if you're going to call yourself a speaker, you might as well start speaking. That's a good idea. It didn't cost me anything. Didn't have to pay anybody anything. I just turned on, instead of this video right here, this iPhone that I'm speaking into, I just simply turned on a recorder and started talking into it on my computer. Created an audio file, uploaded it to iTunes, boom. I'm the founder of the Sam Crowley Show. Then I started getting feedback. Now, while this is going on, everybody else was like, hey, what's it like to be bankrupt? What's it like to be, you quit your job, you come back, you were the boss, and now you're not, and now you're working. I'm like, hey, man, I'm moving towards being an international motivational speaker. I'm not moving away from being bankrupt. I mean, I'm not caught up in, losing a job or losing a business or being broke or anything like that. I mean, if that was the case, yeah, you're right. I'd just be stuck in the quicksand of life. But that's not what I'm doing. You want to focus on how I lost my job. You want to focus on why I'm bankrupt. You want to focus on the other. I'm going forward. You see the difference? Because when you're looking back, try driving in your rearview mirror. Look at, ooh, you're going to crash, right? Oh my God, what's behind me? I don't know what's behind me. You know what I know? I know what's forward. And what was ahead of me was being a motivational speaker. Well, I don't really know I like that term. I'm a speaker, trainer, seminar leader, dad, a husband. I like all those things better than, motivational speaker. That's how most people know me, so that's cool. So I said, I don't care where I've been. And this is where you really got to focus in. Listen, okay? You got to listen to me. Check the hair, man. So styling today. You got to focus on where you're going. Do you even know where you're going? I guess that's a better question. Do you even know where you're going? Because if you're running east looking for a sunset, it's going to be a long time, Jack, okay? You really got to understand where it is that you want to go. Where I wanted to go is I created this show, and I just created one piece of content, and it was amazing. Just that one piece, the confidence that it gave me. When that show was finally on iTunes, I was like touching my, wow, that's it. I mean, that's my computer. I'm really out there. Look, you can download my show. That's great. I'm a speaker. That's all it took. It didn't even cost any money. I just was a speaker. And you know what I did next? I wrote an article on the internet titled Cincinnati Motivational Speaker. Didn't cost me anything. Just took me 20 minutes to write it. Uploaded it to an article directory. 90 minutes later, I'm in Google ranked #1 for the keyword Cincinnati Motivational Speaker. You know, that article still brings me speaking gigs locally here where I live. I mean, both those things. So here's my message to you right away. All right, in the first 10 minutes of this video, you have got to create something. 2 things you got to create. #1, any type of entity, product, audio, video, article, blog, whatever. Just create something, because you're getting away from a job. But you can't just run away from a job. You can't run backwards. By the way, I shot a video running backwards in my side yard. It's on my YouTube channel about 5 years ago. It's actually pretty funny how fast it took me to run forward versus running backwards. But you can't just run away from a job. That's never going to work. You can't run from problems. You got to run towards something. What's pulling you? Think about it. What is it? What's pulling you? Is it a business? Is it a nonprofit? Is it something like what I'm doing, speaking, training, helping other people? There's got to be some thing that you're thinking about right now that's just pulling you away from that job, okay? It can't be you're running from your job, okay? Because that is never in and of itself going to be anything that's going to survive more than just a few minutes, a few hours, right? Oh, I quit my job. Oh, okay. What are you going to do? I don't know, but I quit my job. Okay, that's not what you want to do, okay? Create something, an audio, video, article, any piece of content, just to say you did it, just to validate this is who I am, right? Maybe you want to plant a church. I have a lot of friends that have done that. Well, why don't you start speaking, preaching the gospel, having meetings in your living room, cafeterias, schools, wherever it is. Build that movement around. Whatever it is, you got to start going towards something, because you know what? It gives you so much confidence. And when those people are in your ear, because let me tell you something, most people, and I hate to say this in video, but it's true. You know, Tony Robbins said one time, 90% of the people never crack the cellophane on his CDs, his DVDs, and things like that. What's that mean? It means 9 out of 10 people never even open the product they bought at one of his events or online. Why? Because they go back to default, what we talked about in the previous video. Default Ohio, default Texas, default England, default Australia. They go back and they listen to everybody, then they listen to this little guy inside their minds. And you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Don't you remember who you are? And when I was trying, look, I tried to quit my job, and I failed miserably the first time. And that's why I'm telling you everything I did wrong, so you won't do those same mistakes. I didn't have a plan to what I really wanted to run towards the first time. What I'm talking about, being a speaker, that was the second time I quit my job. You know, that was when I finally got it. The first time I bought a franchise, it went under, it was horrible, I hated every minute of it, I didn't want it, it was like having another job, it was terrible, I hated it. I didn't know where I was going. You got to know before you leave this job, you got to know where you're going, and you got to know the people that are going to help take you there, because you cannot do it on your own. You cannot do it on your own. You need a mastermind group. You need people that will help empower you, that will help motivate you, that will help inspire you, that you can share ideas with, that will lend you money. I mean, all of these things you're going to need, right? It's just called having a network, joint venturing with people. Don't be afraid of it. You know, and if you don't know anybody right now, that's what this video series is all about, how to do things like that. Here's what you shouldn't be afraid of anything you haven't done before. Why? Because you've simply never done it before. It doesn't mean it can't happen, it just means you haven't done it yet. I mean, if that was the case, none of us would ever do anything for the first time. You know, I never did his haircut before, and now look, I'm looking styling with it. You know, no big deal. Don't be afraid of it. And look, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know, you do something different. You go in a different direction. You can't move a ship. You can't steer a ship that isn't moving. All right? Are you with me? Do all these metaphors start to make sense? Okay? So get some new friends, as we talked about the previous video. Get a product. Get a whatever it is that you got to create. Create something that is congruent with the individual you want to be, and with the message that you want to have, and the business that you want to monetize eventually. All right? Just make sure you're that individual, and you're creating all of this stuff, because it's going to be like this huge magnet. It's going to pull you so hard towards where it is you're eventually going to go. And that's not the ultimate destination. Like I just wasn't some internet, you know, entrepreneur. I mean, where I am now compared to 8 years ago isn't even anywhere near all the different roads and avenues that I've been down, and stages that I've spoken on, and online launches I've had. That wasn't even I wasn't even on my radar. Going to Australia? London? Are you kidding me? I've never been to those places in my life. Speaking on stages in front of thousands of people there? Forget about it. It all started because in 2005, I sat on a carpet, spoke into a computer, called myself Sam Crowley, international motivational speaker, founder of the world-famous EverydayIsSaturday.com, and I started doing what it is I really wanted to do. And I didn't worry about going broke ever again, because I'd been broke and came out of it. There's nothing to fear. I mean, it sucked going through it, but coming out the other end was no big deal. I mean, I bounced it. It's amazing how resilient we are. You know, it's amazing how resilient we are as a human race, that we could have damn near anything happen to us. But you know who instills that fear is like a boss. Well, you better not let that happen again, right? We need to make this sales quota, or you're what? You're fired, you're on probation, you're suspended, you're whatever it is. I mean, who the hell wants to live like that? When you're an entrepreneur, I mean, I'm getting way off the reservation, because we're talking about the beauty of making mistakes, which is future videos. But man, I think And look, we can just keep it real, right? And again, I always got to say, this isn't the only story, the right story. It's just my story. I'm just keeping it 100% real. I'm in a park right now talking on my iPhone to you, shooting this video with no notes, just pure straight from the heart. And I think that unfiltered message is what everybody needs. You can have a speaker that rehearses and they're talking in front of a PowerPoint. I think those days, I mean, you can have it. They're everywhere. But this type of raw, unfiltered message is what I wish I would have heard when I first went for my dream. But when you talk about failing, as an entrepreneur, it's the only way to succeed. It's the only way to gain experience. How will you ever know the right way to do it if you don't know the wrong way first? But in a job, it's like, hey, you better do this because we're dangling this big promotion or this bonus in front of you. And that's the 1960s way of motivating. It doesn't work anymore, right? And it certainly doesn't work as an entrepreneur. So listen to me. As you move away from those individuals and you move away from all that stuff, I call it the quicksand of life, right? It's just keeping you stuck. Move towards something, just the smallest thing that's going to make you feel good. Before you watch the next video, create something. Create a message. I don't care if you just write on a piece of paper, my name is, fill in the blank, and fill it in what you are. That you own it then. You own that. And people are going to watch this who are negative or in a job or trying to bring you down, and they're going to be like, you're going to write what on a piece of paper? And you're just going to own it? And if it was just as simple as that, wouldn't we all do it? Yeah. Hey, listen, Einstein. Here's what you really should say to that negative know-it-all friend that's going nowhere. And when I say Einstein, I'm referring actually to that person who's going to try to bring you down, because they all will. I promise you, we're just keeping it real. It's going to happen. You say, yeah, I do own that, because it's the smallest step. Sam Crowley and I are mastermind partners, and we're going down this road together. At the end of the video, I asked, are you in? Because it's a big decision. You don't have to be. You don't got to be in. You don't have to quit your job, right? You don't need to do that. You can be like everybody else. You can just tiptoe all the way right to your grave and die with regret. Everybody does. Almost everybody does that. I'm saying to do something big, man. I mean, just do something so incredibly big. I was at that award ceremony this morning. I just left, literally. I came right from the school to here. And I can't even, I was a mess. I'm tearing up and tears coming down my face. And I every time I go see my daughters do anything, I don't care what it is, at school, they're mainly active in school. They're not active in like organized sports yet. But when I see them get an award at school, I well up. I literally cry. I'm like a friggin' baby, because I think of the sacrifice and the pain that I've gone through over the last 8 years to just be able to get to this point where I can go watch them do that, and that where I would be right now, having to ask permission or on a road trip, on a business trip, and I would have missed out like all my other corporate slave friends and coworkers do all the time. And I would have never made, and I think I cry more about the possibility that I could have missed all of this than the fact that they actually won the award. So think about that. Think about that. I said it last video. Yeah, I'm just thinking right now, I mean, all the things that I've been able to see in the last 6 or 7 years, it's just, you know, if you've missed any of that, it stops right now. If you don't, even if you don't have kids, you're missing out on so much because you're not in control of your schedule. And when I think about all the people that we've helped in the Everyday Saturday community, realize that dream and that passion, it's back, man. Just get it back. You've got it inside of you. It may be buried deep. We'll pull it out. We'll pull it out of you. There's no worries there. If you stay with us and you stay with me, I'll stay with you. But you just got to keep moving, man. And you have to understand that you're going to create something. You're going to write it down. My name is, fill in the blank, and I am, and fill in the blank. My name is Sam Crowley, international speaker, trainer, seminar leader, founder of the world-famous EverydayIsSaturday.com. That's who I am. Who are you? Write it down. Put it underneath this video. We want to see who you are and where you're going. We want to see it, because when you write it down, you own it. Writing is the doing part of thinking. Get it out of your mind and get it on a piece of paper. Put it down on this video so we can all see it and we can own it right along with you. And then we move on to video number 3. And slowly we're going to get you out of that job and we're going to move you towards your goal. Let me tell you, it may feel like you're moving like a glacier, but I tell you right now, you can feel it, right? I mean, you can feel the rumbling inside. I feel it. I feel it for you. I mean, I remember the feelings I felt 8 years ago, you know, when I finally started to move away. And I knew, man, imagine just waking up. Imagine this. I'm going to leave you with this video, okay? Imagine just waking up tomorrow with something you didn't have the day before, and that's hope. Right? You're plugging into these videos. Go to samcrowleyshow.com. Plug in all the podcasts. Bombard your mind with personal development. I mean real personal development. I don't mean this like, you know, you got to have teamwork to make your dream work. I mean, that stuff's 1960s, man. It's 2013 as of the date of this video. You got to plug into the real, unfiltered, raw message of an individual who's actually done it. But imagine waking up tomorrow and you've got hope. Do you need anything other than that? I mean, don't you think the hope tank in this world is a little bit low? Don't you think people could use more of it? I want to give you that. I want to give you hope. I'm not going to charge you for it. I'm not going to make a dime off it. But I believe in karma too. I believe it all comes back to you, because I know over the past 8 years we've been building a lot of that goodwill on the everyday side of the community, helping thousands of people realize how to monetize their passion. I don't want you to miss a day like I had today, man, to be able to see your child or a loved one or even yourself. Imagine you being on the big stage. Not literally as a speaker. I just mean whatever that stage, whatever the highest, the pinnacle of that business and that movement and that cause is in your life. Imagine you being up there and accepting that award, and how proud you were that today you watched this video and you created just something that's congruent with the person that you are inside. Get rid of the layers of self-doubt, the negative, lack of confidence, the people chirping in your ear, the little guy in your mind talking, who do you think you are, who do you think? Get rid of all that and focus on where you're going. And I'll see you on video number 3 in the Quit My Job series. My name's Sam Crowley. Have the best day ever. You are a champion.
Daddy, it's tomorrow Saturday. It's tomorrow Saturday.
Because she wanted to spend the day with you, right?
It's the only day we saw each other.
I was a stressed out corporate slave. I never saw my family, John. John, it's taking.